Remember when I said, like, way back that my dad wasn't the biggest creeper in the family? Let me tell you some stories.
When someone meets my family, they inevitably ask, "How are you, you?" Why is that, you ask? Have I got a story for you?
Now, there's only a few things on this world that my mother worries about, but as you well know, one of them is other people hearing things or thinking poorly of her. So if you have the windows open and you're listening to music, you should be like, I can hear sounds outside. That's not good. People will hear you. And one night I was yelling. I was playing a game and I was laughing and yelling at my friends. My mom was like, the windows are open. It was like, I'm going to say like between 9 and 10. The windows are open. People will hear you. Which is really weird when you think about it, because the person who holds the title for the ultimate creeper in my family is 100% my mother. And like she holds it for many, many reasons. But think of it this way. So my mom and my neighbor are dating, right? My mom looks in his windows when she leaves in the morning to see what he's doing, and at various times during the day, she'll go to the front door and look in his windows to see if he's there, which is fucking creepy. Okay, but it gets worse because my mother, we have a tree in our front yard. My mother made me trim the branches on the tree so that she could stand in our doorway and look across the street into my neighbor's window. And it's not even like my mother tries to hide this fact that she's a super creeper. Like sometimes she'll come in my room and be like, I can't see in his window right now. Could you look in there and tell me if he's in there? Like, no, you don't enlist people's aid when you stalk other people. Like, that's just not a thing you do. That's so weird. And why would I want to? I had a conversation with Tef and Grim and Piano Knox the other night. We were talking and we were playing games. We were talking about Mondays. You all know the Monday routine, and I hate Mondays. And we were talking, and they're making fun of me for how I couldn't go to the bathroom and what have you. And I was like, I hate Mondays. I hate sitting at the table and pretending we like each other. It is just the worst part of my week. And they all died. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Like I hate having to sit there and not being able to talk and just pretend that like we're a good cohesive unit, because we're not. If there's one thing that really upsets me in the world, it's like when people don't accept reality. Like it's not always good, but it's what you got. My mom started being a super creep way before we moved here. My next door neighbor, when I was growing up, well, actually my neighbor across the street, not my next door neighbor. I didn't really talk to my next door neighbor that much, though she did come over a few times and be like, "Hey, your dog's loose." And this one time, my next door neighbor came over. She was a couple of years old. I think she's 1 year older than me, and we sort of like started talking when I got to high school a little bit before she graduated. And this one time she came to the door when Ooh was there. And like my dog used to break free of the chain or the leash that we had, and she would just like run around the neighborhood every once in a while. And this one time my next door neighbor comes over, she rings the doorbell, and Ooh's there. She comes to the door. And Ooh looks at her and she's like, uh yes. And my neighbor's like, ma'am, your dog's loose. And Ooh goes, no, not my dog. And as she says that, my dog ran across the front yard, like, phew. And Ooh was like, no, not my dog. And then our neighbor's like, no, I'm pretty sure that's your dog, ma'am. Your ma'am is, your, no, I'm pretty sure that's your dog, ma'am. Your dog is loose. And Ooh was like, no, not my dog. She's much better behaved than that, which is a lie. But you'll hear about more about that later in another season. Ha ha. But yeah. So as she said it the second time, my dog trotted up the stairs and sat down and was like, "You gonna let me in? I ran around now. I'd like to come in." My dog did stuff like that a lot. But yeah. So my neighbor across the street was a couple years younger than me. But for most of my childhood, my mom thought that, we were going to be together forever. I didn't date her or anything. She was like my little sister. Weird. And like she moved out, but her grandma moved into that house, and she would come back to visit sometimes. And every time she would come back to visit, my mom would be like, oh, Lauren's here! And I would think that that would mean, like, my mom would call me and be like, Lauren's here! And I'd be upstairs in my area, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I come downstairs. And Lauren was not in the house. And I'd be like, why did you call me? My mom was like, no, I mean, she's next door. I just watched her take the stuff out of her car and go into her house, and she's there right now. And then she'd like look in the windows. And I'd be like, okay, that means nothing to me. And it wasn't like my mom just did this when it was just me home. Because one time Crazy Bacon was over, and we were playing games. My mom was like, Lauren's here! And we came downstairs, and we were like, well, where is she? And my mom was like, no, I mean, she just drove in across the street. She just walked into her old house. And I was like, okay. Why did I need to know that? I don't. Mom is such a creeper. Though I will say, Lauren's stepdad was the coolest dad on the block, I gotta say. We used to have like water gun fights, like everyone in the neighborhood would get together and we'd have a water gun fight. And then he would always win because he had that super soaker that hooks directly up to the hose. So it was like a fucking cannon. And he'd be like, oh, pfft. And like if he charged that thing up to max and fired, when it hit a kid, it would be like an anime fight. Like you would block with both arms and your feet would slide back and you just like slide back in the grass. But oh my God, we had so much fun. I'm pretty sure that they don't sell those kind of super soakers anymore because they kind of hurt. But oh, it was so much fun. When you're a kid, you don't care if you get hurt or not. In addition to being a creeper, I just want you guys to know that my mother doesn't judge. So when Liz and I got together and we became a couple, we like got together. She came over. I had like hung out with her at Valley of Vajiria's birthday party, and then when she came over to my birthday party, she came over the night before, and me, her, Valley of Vajiria, and Crazy Bacon got together, and we drank and got ready for the party and what have you, and it was great, and we decided we were going to be a couple then. So Liz and I slept in the same bed together. I mean, we weren't like banging like right away, like no, that's not what we were doing. We were just cuddling because we were a new couple and it was all cute and adorable. And my mom is under the assumption that I sleep with every girl that I've ever met in my entire life, which is just so very far from the truth because as most of you know, I never get any anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like it's not a thing I do. And like after the party and everyone went home, I think that was the last party my mom was a part of because she's such a party pooper. She was so mad that day. And the day after everyone left, my mom was like, so you slept with her? Yeah. And I was like, I mean, we slept in the same bed. We didn't sleep together. We slept together, but it wasn't like we were banging or anything. Like there was no, ooh, that wasn't happening. That's not a thing that happened. And my mom went on this rant where she told me that any girl who would get in bed with a guy under any circumstances that, you know, they had just met, which was a lie because I mean, I'd known Liz for years at that point. But anyway, I was talking about how, you know, any girl that would get into bed with a guy that quickly was obviously not a good girl. And she definitely must have shitty parents for raising her that way. And then my mom added, but I don't judge. And I was like, what? 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 And that's one of the many reasons Liz doesn't like my mom. One of the many reasons most people don't like my mom. She doesn't judge. But she's a damn good creeper. And she doesn't really own up to that fact either. She's always like, no, I'm not looking in his window. But can you tell me which one he's in right now? Like, I'm pretty sure you were looking in his window. Make me trim the freaking hedges so you can see in his window. And then enlisting my aid? You can't do that. You can't enlist someone's aid. It's so weird. She's such a weirdo. And the last thing that you guys need to know about my mom is that she's super supportive. So my mom, actually most of my family, especially my father thinks that the only thing I've done since I graduated college is sat on my couch in the den downstairs and stared up at the ceiling with my mouth open. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I'm furniture, as Teth calls it. Like my family doesn't see me as another human being or I was thinking I'm more along the lines of a pet or a mascot. And Teth was like, no, I'm pretty sure they think you're furniture. They just put stuff on you. And you got to hold it for them. I was like, that's a pretty good analogy. It's a pretty good analogy. My mom also seems to think I haven't really done anything with my life since then. I mean, I haven't done anything big, but it's not like I've just been sitting here doing nothing. Um, I I hope I haven't just been sitting here and doing nothing, because if so, I've been in a trance for many years. But my mom's super supportive, if you will. And one of her things is like, why don't you go back to school? Now, I didn't really enjoy the end of school because, I was dying and all that. My mom's like, well, you got to tell me what you're going to go back to school for. And like everything I've suggested has been like, no, you're stupid. You're so stupid for thinking that you could do that. Which is, it's super supportive to hear that every time. So I had told her I only go for humanistic education, as you guys know. I was thinking about that. And like, when she wants me to go to school, but if I tell her about any program, she's like, you're so stupid, you'll never be able to get a job with that. So I mean, I don't really want to go back to school or tell her that I'm thinking of anything, because she's going to tell me that I'm stupid. And it's not just me. When she heard that Teth was thinking about going for multicultural humanistic education, she gave me the speech for him. He wasn't even there. She started screaming at me because he was so stupid for it. And I was like, no, what? Huh? And to this day, he's like, I wasn't even fucking there, and she's screaming at me through you. That's so weird. What is wrong with her? And I was like, I don't know. But it's not just school. Like, anything that I tell her that I'm doing or going to do is immediately shat upon. And so, when you're in a situation like that, I don't understand why she thinks that being supportive. That's very silly, because it's really not. That's not what being supportive is. She keeps using that word, but I don't think that word means what she thinks it means.
Hey there, guys and gals. Thanks so much for watching, as always. If you click the link on the left, you'll be taken to the previous episode. If you click the link on the right, you'll be taken to the playlist, where you can watch them all. Season 1 of Unfairy Tales has officially drawn to a close. But don't think I'm out of stories. I'm definitely not. Season 2 will be here soon. Subtitled, The School Year.